Whether you believe the big one is going to hit and an apocalypse is imminent, or you just want to live a little greener, this list of how to go off-grid will help you live more independently. We're not talking about going off Facebook for the weekend while you go glamping, nor do we mean some self-imposed exile where you become a hermit in a forest cabin never to be seen again. We mean living your life with less dependence on the current electrical, water, and grocery store supply. Most effective ways to live off the grid. A reality check. Off-grid living seeks to lean less on artificial comforts like fossil fuel electrified heating, cooling, and lighting. Here are some important truths to remember. 1. Seasons vary. Summer is hot, winter is cold. You'll have to find a way to live through both. 2. Night is dark, and you will need to come to terms that without mainstream electricity, you might not be able to light every square inch of your home at just the flip of a switch. 3. Gardens require more than seeds and water. The correct soil is most important for food production, and sometimes this requires building soil up to a healthy level over time. 4. Water doesn't run uphill, so location is everything. Reduce consumption. The first thing to think about when you go off-grid is to reduce your consumption of modern municipal utilities like electricity, gas, and water. Before you plan to produce your own electricity or gather your own water, it is best to start by reducing the amount you use. This can be as simple as switching off the heating or turning it down and wearing a sweater indoors. Try replacing your light bulbs to energy-efficient ones. Use your oven efficiently and cook a few meals at once when it is switched on. Water your garden from shower water you collect in a bucket in your shower, or use some water-saving faucet fittings that reduce your water consumption. Flush your toilet only when necessary. The less you get used to using, the less you will need to catch on your own steam. Find a place to hang your hat. You might be living off-grid in the middle of a city by becoming an urban homesteader, or you might consider off-grid as a lifestyle that can only occur far from civilization. Whatever your definition, you need to be housed somewhere. Your decision of where to hang your hat needs to be practical. You can't be planning an off-grid hydroponic farm when you have no access to water, or a wind-powered cabin where there isn't a breath of wind. First, think environment and what it offers in terms of opportunities and natural resources before you fall in love with the place because of its views. Two of the most important factors will be how to gather enough water to sustain life and produce crops, and how to produce electricity. Then you need to consider the climate. Consider the seasons you will face, the length of the growing months and the hibernation months. Often a temperate climate is more practical. Another factor is soil quality, although with time, this can be improved. Further on in this video, we will get into the different ways to secure water and electricity supply. So keep watching. Get used to the outdoors. Before you skip your lease and run off into the forest to live among the animals, get some real outdoor experience. Do you even like nature? Because if you're starting out a homestead from scratch, you will be spending a lot of time taming nature around you. Anything from hacking back bushes to finding firewood, it's all up to you. Think about the kind of terrain you will feel comfortable in. Are you an open plains person, or do you feel at home deep in a densely wooded area? Or will we find you yodeling your heart out on a mountain somewhere? Be sure to visit plenty of places before laying any roots. Water is your life. When you're off-grid, securing water becomes your life mission. Without water, you can't cook, clean, or grow. There are several ways of sourcing water, as low-tech as rain collection from gutters, to tapping into wells or groundwater, or piping from a nearby spring. But the challenge doesn't just end with finding a water source. Next, you need to be able to store your water. So if there is a drought or your spring is contaminated, you will have a fresh supply until the problem is resolved. Then you need to consider the water quality. You might need to add some purification to your water. There are plenty of options, and they are relatively simple to install and are really effective. Once you secure your own water source, half the battle of off-grid living is won. Power and fuel. Even if you decide to forego electricity, you will need some form of fuel, to cook at the very least. Then most people will need to charge some electrical device from time to time, and possibly refrigerate some food and help with warmth in severe weather. Wood fires might be novel for a bit, but the smoke and heat might grow tiresome if it's 3 meals a day this way. So consider alternative options for cooking like propane fuel, which is far cleaner and instant. More costly solutions in their setup are solar panels and wind turbines. Don't forget to factor in the rest of the system into your budget, like inverters and a bank of batteries for storing your power. More recently, plenty of generator options have been introduced that don't use traditional fuel, but rather biodiesel that you can produce yourself and still stay true to your off-grid dreams. Food. Food is another big factor for off-grid life. You need to consider that you won't be going to the corner grocer to pick up supplies every day. You need to consider storage of items and what you can and can't grow yourself. Realistically, you won't be able to grow everything, so stock up on staples like oats, rice, beans, flour, and yeast. With these basics, you can make hundreds of meals by adding whatever you are able to grow or forage. Growing your own is addictive. As soon as you slice open your first homegrown tomato, you will be hooked. Start with the basics that are also pretty easy in more climates: tomatoes, spinach, and eggplant. These are also great basics for a nutritious diet. Then try some more veggies like squashes, legumes, and root veg. Once you master these, move on to some perennials like fruit and nut trees that will serve you for years. Like they say, the best time to plant a tree is yesterday, the second best time, today. Next, you have the option to forage for your dinner. Some areas have tons of safe-to-eat mushroom varieties, berries, and even tree nuts. But be sure to do your homework and be safe before you tuck in. Then lastly, there are local meats from fishing, hunting, or farming. All of these take some special skills and equipment, so we advise doing some courses in the local area to become familiar with the rules and regulations to master these skills before just launching into it. Now that you have a great supply of food, don't forget to master some canning, bottling, and preserving skills so you can enjoy the fruit of your hard work for a long time. Animal farm. The next item on the menu is meat, eggs, and milk. And the best way to ensure a constant supply is rearing your own animals. Animal husbandry is a real skill, and there are many courses that can help you get a handle around being an animal rearer. Some of the most popular animals for homesteads are birds like chickens, turkeys, ducks, and pheasants, and the four-legged mammals like cows, pigs, and rabbits. Growing in popularity because of its sustainable nature is aquaponics. This is a system that farms fish in a closed circuit that uses the fish waste to grow fruit or veg. Get handy. You will need to become pretty handy at building and fixing. Part of the off-grid appeal is that you aren't reliant of consumer culture, of just going out and buying a replacement when something breaks. And you don't just buy a new set of chairs, but rather make it from found items or natural resources. It is also a great way to earn an independent income. More on skill sharing and bartering later. Be sure you factor in some woodwork and handyman lessons and start stocking your toolbox before you leave the comfort of your current home. Waste disposal. Many people forget that when you are living off the grid, your waste doesn't magically disappear from the sidewalk or neatly flush away out of sight when we are done in the bathroom. This is something that needs your attention and planning. A main principle of off-grid living is reusing and creating less waste. So reducing is the most important skill to acquire. But for all that does need to be thrown away, there is an eco-friendly solution. All your organic kitchen waste can be composted. There are a few methods available to deal with different elements like vegetables and meat, and all are easy to maintain. Paper and cardboard are fuel and can be used to make fires. It can also be composted. Your toilet waste can also be turned into compost or made into fire bricks and burned as fuel, or purified through a grey water system. Whatever is left can be stored and then dropped off at recycling stations. Be sure to check out the health and safety laws in your area and ensure you don't spread disease by not disposing of waste safely. Stay in touch. You don't need to become a total recluse if you go off-grid. Many happy homesteaders are blogging away from their cabins and inspiring others to live more eco-conscious lives. Many welcome visitors for eco-stays to generate income, and most are happily connected to their family through web or mobile communication. Staying connected isn't always easy in remote locations. You might need to invest in some satellite communication to be sure that in an emergency, you have a reliable connection to get messages in and out. Be sure to check the available communication before you set your heart on a place to settle. What great advice can you give for living off-grid? We'd love to hear it in the comments below. 1. Mine, yours, and ours. The currency amongst off-gridders is produce and services. If you can repair an old tractor or bottle a great pickle, or have an excess of blueberries at harvest time, then you are in the pound seat. In your off-grid life planning, consider what needs your local community might have and how you can fulfill them and swap your service for what you need. Then, work with your neighbors to make sure you aren't all growing the same crops and you can share your resources and get a better variety.